All right, guys, let's get into this. I think that this is episode number 7 or 8 of the Blueprint podcast. This is the best podcast in the world for drawing, quality control, and review. How about that for an opener, guys? I think I'm going to keep saying it until it becomes true.
Not a stretch.
Because
not a stretch.
I just don't know how much competition we have. So look, it's okay. It's a pool of one. Better be efficient upon. Look, in today's discussion, I wanted to speak with Harry and Brian about kind of this thing which I dub the boring checks. And these are, if you're in construction or maybe you're not in construction, maybe you've done this before, or maybe you haven't done this before, but typically when you start out as a project engineer, contract admin in Australia, one of the first jobs you get is they give you a set of plans. This is me as a VDC engineer way back when. And you got to go through those, pour over those plans and look for these, call them broken links, missing pieces of information, things that don't align, addresses wrong. These are like, frankly, very boring semantic, meaning like there or not there, back and forth kind of checks. And I want to talk with the guys today. Harry actually brought up a really great story about him speaking with somebody on LinkedIn. So I'm going to let him open this up. But that's the spirit of the conversation today, is why boring checks matter.
Yeah, of course. So I had an interesting conversation. I posted a post about, if BIM already has these hyperlinking, auto dimensions, and clash detections, why do we still see drawing issues when we kind of figured out where human error keeps these things slipping through? One of my comments was, AI, the part of the reason that AI makes me not fear for my job, sure, it can do these small things, but I would never trust AI to check for the structural integrity of a wall or electric conduits through the wall in an accurate setting. And I said, of course, but I feel like AI really has a place for these smaller checks, and I hope no one really ever trusts AI off the bat to check for these extreme root issues. But issues that reduce site team confidence and cause a headache, issues such as incorrect callouts, miscalculated schedules, incorrect dimensions, all have to usually be checked by a time-poor, expensive CA or PM, or it's palmed off to a cadet. And if you've listened to other stories, you know that I've made a few mistakes in my cadet days.
We all do, Harry. Don't worry.
Yeah.
But I think AI should replace these boring issue detection checks so that industry professionals can focus back on the real issues that we've spent years educating ourselves to solve. And I don't think it's ever going to, side note, but I don't think AI will ever take our jobs, but I see a lot of value in reducing these avoidable mistakes. So
yeah, and I think, Chris, you posed that as that's what happens on a project, right? It shouldn't, though. So we've already started like wasting time checking for errors already. So why not, like as Harry mentioned, why not kind of clean those out of the way before we get to a project or get building?
Absolutely. I was just kind of thinking about this as kind of a general theme. And to this person's point that you're having this conversation with Harry, I think that we're all looking for that clash or that thing in the drawings that like if we don't solve this, the whole thing's gonna fall down. It's like the building will fail and I will be the hero of saving the building. Because I found I did a lot of 2D drawing to 3D model conversion work. Like that's really what I did for the first nearly 3 and a bit years of my construction career. I bet I could count maybe like it's going to be like in 20 examples out of like 20,000 that so it's like 1% of the time I would find like that big thing that I was like, oh my God, like, hey, everybody.
Yeah.
Most of the time it was the boring stuff. Like, oh, this call out doesn't actually exist. Oh no, this tag doesn't have a thing that doesn't point at this other thing. Like, I feel like that was the majority of the time. So.
Absolutely. And I think that that leads on to, Chris and I had another meeting with a contractor out of Melbourne, and he said, I would love to check for these things, but I have plans with 2,000 pages. Like, I'm not going to do that. My time is worth more than that.
Yep.
And that's where I think, we sit over the top really nicely to be able to click and with confidence know that these things are, maybe surface level for now, but that they can be checked with confidence. It's a big plus, big game changer.
Absolutely, yeah. And as you mentioned, I think one of the big things, the unwritten, is the confidence in your design documents. I think finding those, surface level issues, maybe it's a spelling mistake, or as you guys mentioned, broken links, they're minor, sure. They may be an RFI, maybe not. But at the end of the day, if you have 2,000 sheets and you have, I don't know, an issue every other sheet, that adds up quite quickly. And overall confidence of the drawings goes down, and you start looking at it a little differently. And then you start finding other issues, because usually those little issues lead to bigger issues. And that's where you come to the gotchas, right, Chris? The big ones the big great white shark, if you will, as from our previous conversation.
Brian, I'm wondering about your professional experience here. If you would kind of like, are these little, like, we talk about these surface, subsurface, and root level issues. I'm trying to find kind of like another parallel, but if like, I feel like these surface level issues, let's like, this is a time or a quality or a cost type of thing, not like necessarily all three or two of the three at the same time in a surface level type of issue.
Yeah.
If these are the things that you actually end up tripping over that take you more time, does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
Oh, that missing call out's not there. I got to call the guy, get the thing, blah, write that email. And then now you're like 10 of those deep.
Yeah. Remember we're in that mega project in California on the hospital. Yes. They've got a finite amount of architects work on the job. And we, as a GC, we had like 30 engineers. Could you imagine each one of them every day trying to get a hold of, one or two architects because they found, a simple example, like couldn't find a door on a door schedule, right? You multiply that by 30, and now all of a sudden the architect can't, it's a humongous time suck. And those are things on the job that are often very hard to quantify and realize how much of a drain it is on the project team, on the project schedule. Because really the focus should be, let's add value to the client, right? We don't add value until we build something. But if we're dealing with some issue in the drawing, that's taken away from building. So it's unfortunately it's a big part of construction, but it's avoidable, right? And that's what we're trying to do, is make these avoidable issues go away.
Absolutely. Hey, BK, can you move yourself just over, I think, a little bit to your right?
That's it.
Yeah. Thank you. Sorry, you were cut off a bit.
Sorry, guys.
There it is. Look at that beautiful face. No, I think that this is kind of like a really interesting point, because I call this stuff boring, because if you've ever done it yourself manually, where 100 pages, 50 pages, shoot, like a 20-page like millwork drawing set, and you're like got like 400 call out elevations, and you're just flipping through pages, even if you're using Bluebeam or FieldWire or whatever, and you're clicking one hyperlink and checking and going back and forth, like that's like, you got to validate this stuff. Like, that's part of the job, is making sure the documentation is tight. And so,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, why not have this? Just we'll use our analogy to Grammarly, right? Let's make a first pass, right? And we could find all these broken links, all these missing tags, what have you. Just real quick 5-minute check right on our side. It's getting blazing fast now. And why not have that just real quick brief, and then you can start going through your normal checks. But at least we can clear the path for you right away, right?
I think that's definitely worth something. And it goes back to maybe what, Harry, your conversation with this guy was, which is, maybe I don't trust it to like tell me how to reroute, this conduit.
And sure. Maybe
I wouldn't trust it either.
I mean, I would not be trusting anything like that at the moment. So fair game. But yeah, it's these tricks.
All right, so let's put a bow on this. Boring checks matter. I think we all agree. Boring checks matter. If you don't do, like, I think most people want to skip them, but if you don't do them, then they could lead to some sort of stumbling block later. It's like the ultimate kicking the can down the road. If you get a new set of drawings and you don't review them, you're just kicking the can down the road to somebody else, or you must really dislike future you or something like that. I know, and and so I think that there's that. And the guy that we spoke with in the PM in Melbourne, Harry, like, I think we get it. It takes a lot of time. This is the perfect application of technology. Just like you would not pick up a dictionary. If anybody is still picking up a dictionary to write an email, please reach out to us.
They won't want to need you.
All right, lads, this is another great session. Always good to chat with you guys about this stuff. Again, we are maybe the best podcast in the whole entire world that discusses drawing review and quality control. So hit us up. Great chat, guys.
Right on.
Guys, catch you on the next one.